Morning everyone. Today here we are here today with our last video for your first periodic test, and in this chapter we are going to discuss the second part of your history lesson number 2, from trade to territory. It was already explained in your earlier video. Half of the chapter was explained, and there I told you that the East India Company, they came to our country as traders, and slowly and steadily through different policies they became the territorial authority, or they conquered the different territories of our country. In this chapter we are going to discuss few points. The first point we are going to study is here, war with the Marathas. The East India Company, when they started to introduce different policies, automatically they had to face lot of problems with the different Indian rulers. With the Marathas also they had to fought. From the late 18th century, the company tried to curb and destroy the Maratha power. In the late 18th century, that means in the end of the 18th century, the East India Company, they tried to destroy the Maratha power. That means they wanted to conquer the Maratha territory. Finally, they were defeated in the Third Battle of Panipat in 1761. In the year of 1761, the Third Battle of Panipat was fought, and in this battle, in the Third Battle of Panipat, the Marathas, they were defeated by the company. The Marathas were subdued in a series of wars. The Marathas, the different Maratha rulers, they fought different wars with the company. The first war ended in 1782. The first war of the Marathas with the company or the British, it was first fought in the year of 1782, but it resulted with no clear victor. Means in this battle, in the first battle 1782, nobody could win the battle. Again, in the second war, it was fought in between 1803 and 1805. In these years, the British, they won, they gained Orissa. That means the ruler of Orissa was defeated, and Orissa was conquered by the British in the second Anglo-Maratha war. And finally, in the third Anglo-Maratha war, this third Anglo-Maratha war, it was fought in the year of 1817 to 19. And in these years, the Maratha power was totally crushed. Means, in the first battle in 1782, there was no clear victor. In the second war in 1803 and 1805, British were able to conquer Orissa. And finally, in the third battle in 1817 to 1819, the Maratha power was totally crushed. Means in the third Anglo-Maratha war, the Marathas were entirely defeated by the company or the British, and their place was taken over by the British. That's about the war with the Marathas. Well, the second point that we are going to study here is about the policy of paramountcy. In your previous video, I already told you, I already explained that the British, they used different policies. They made different policies to conquer our country or the parts of our country. And among those policies, one such policy was the policy of paramountcy. Paramountcy means we can say supreme. And according to this policy, let's see, it was initiated by Governor General Lord Hastings. This policy of paramountcy, it was introduced by the Governor General, whose name was Lord Hastings. Lord Hastings, he was the Governor General from the year 1813 up to 1823. For almost, we can say, 10 years he was the Governor General, and he introduced the policy of paramountcy. Even you can see his picture. His picture is there in your history book in page number 18. As you can see here, page number 18 of your history book, here the picture of Lord Hastings is given here, and he was the person to introduce the policy of paramountcy. According to this means the policy of paramountcy, the company claimed that its authority was paramount or supreme. What it means, according to the policy of paramountcy, the British, they declared that the company, the East India Company, their authority or their power was paramount or their power was supreme. Hence, its power was greater than that of the Indian states. Since the company's authority was supreme, that means the company's power was more than the power of the Indian rulers or the Indian states. In order to protect its interest, it was justified in annexing or threatening to annex any Indian kingdom. as it was already explained in the previous video about subsidiary alliance. Here also, according to the policy of paramountcy, the company declared that their power was more than the power of the Indian states, and that's why, to protect the interest of the company, it was justified that the company could annex any Indian kingdom, or even the company can threaten any Indian kingdom to annex it. That was the meaning of the policy of paramountcy. One more policy was made by the British, and that was a doctrine of lapse. This doctrine of lapse, it was also one policy which was framed by the East India Company to annex the different Indian territories. The doctrine of lapse was devised by the Governor General Lord Dalhousie. The policy of paramountcy was introduced by Lord Hastings, and the doctrine of lapse, it was introduced by Lord Dalhousie. You can see here is a picture of Lord Dalhousie. He was the Governor General from 1848 up to 1856, and he was the person to introduce the doctrine of lapse. And what was mentioned there? The doctrine declared that if an Indian ruler died without a male heir, the kingdom would lapse, that is, become part of the company territory. According to this doctrine, or according to the policy of doctrine of lapse, if any Indian ruler died without a male heir, means, after the death of the king, generally the son of the king becomes the next ruler. So if any Indian ruler died and he did not have any male heir, he did not have any son to be the next ruler, then that territory or that kingdom would lapse, or we can say in other words, it will become the part of the company territory. For example, we can say Satara, it was one place and it was taken over by the British through the doctrine of lapse in the year of 1848. Udaipur was taken in the year of 1852. Jhansi, you know about Jhansi, the famous Queen of Jhansi was there. About her it is there in the next chapter. This Jhansi was also taken over by the British in 1854, applying this doctrine of lapse. So we can say the doctrine of lapse also one policy through which the British, they tried to conquer different parts of our country. Now we are going to study the last part of this chapter, the company army. Company army means the army of the East India Company. Colonial rule in India brought in some new ideas of administration and reform. When the British came, that is colonial rule. About colonial, it was already explained in the first chapter of your history. When the colonial rule started in our country, different types of changes were brought. They brought different types of changes in our society, in our economy, and even in the administration as well as in the army structure. Different types of changes or reforms were brought by the company. The Mughal army was mainly composed of cavalry. The meaning of cavalry is soldiers on horseback. When the British came, at that time the Mughals were ruling our country, and the Mughals army, it was mainly composed of cavalry, that is soldiers on horseback, and infantry, that is foot soldiers. So we can say the Mughal army was mainly consist of infantry, that is the foot soldiers, and cavalry, that is the soldiers on horseback. They were given training in archery and the use of sword. The Mughal army were given training in two skills. One is archery, that is bow and arrow, and another one is the use of sword. As warfare technology changed from the 1820s, from the year of 1820, we can say there was a lot of change because of the development of technology. The cavalry or the soldiers on horseback requirements of the company's army declined. So when the warfare technology changed, when different types of modern weapons were invented, then the company, they declined their requirement of the cavalry soldiers. Soldiers were increasingly subjected to European style training. Now the East India Company, they started to train the soldiers in their own style, in the European style. Before, they were given training in archery and the use of sword, but now the company's soldiers or the company's army, they were started to give training in the European style, European drill and discipline. Means lot of changes which we are going to discuss in some other chapters were introduced by the British. Often this created problems since caste and community feelings were ignored in building a force of professional soldiers. We can say when the British, they started to make one force of professional soldiers, they started to ignore the caste and community feelings. And when this caste and community feelings were ignored by the British, different types of problems it came, which later on resulted in the famous Sepoy Mutiny, we shall discuss in other chapters. So we can say, when the British came to our country, they introduced different types of changes, different types of reforms in the administration as well as in the army, and that's why again problems were created between the British and the Indians. Now, in the beginning of this chapter, in the previous video, I already told you that in this chapter we are going to discuss how the East India Company from trade that became the territorial power of our country, and we already got that through different policies like the doctrine of lapse, the subsidiary alliance, the policy of paramountcy. Through all these different policies, they occupied our country. Thus, the East India Company was transformed from a trading company to a territorial colonial power. See, this is the main topic that we discussed in this chapter. The trading company, the East India Company, it was a trading company. It converted itself into one territorial colonial power. And I hope you have understood how they became the territorial power from the trading company. By the year of 1857, the company came to exercise direct rule over 63% of the territory and 78% of the population of Indian subcontinent. By the year of 1857, the British East India Company, they came to our country in the year of 1651, and by this year 1857, we can say 63% of the total Indian territory was under their control, and 78% of the total Indian population was also under the control of the East India Company or the British. That's about this chapter. After listening to the video or after watching it, you need to go through the chapter. Different short questions will be there. As you know, we are proceeding towards our first periodic test. I have given some questions which are not there in the video. Those questions are there in the book, so go through the chapter properly. And now this is the time for your homework. I have given you 3 questions only. Write a short note on the Anglo-Maratha War. We already discussed about the Anglo-Maratha War. 3 wars were fought mainly with the British and the Marathas. You need to explain about that. The second one is explain the policy of paramountcy. What was the meaning of the policy of paramountcy, who introduced it, and what was there in the policy? This all you need to write here. And the last one is describe the composition of the company's army. In the last portion of this video, I explained you about the composition of the company's army, and you need to explain it. That's about the homework. You need to complete this one properly, and you need to revise all the chapters, and you need to get ready for your first periodic test. Thank you very much, and all the very best for your upcoming exam. Thank you.